Good morning. Or I guess it's afternoon now. It's 12:45. So it's officially afternoon. But my week got torpedoed by the brain injury. And honestly, if my week was going to get torpedoed in any way by the brain injury, it got torpedoed in the best possible way, which is I can still talk. We're going to rank brain injury moments. The fact that I can still talk is a good thing. But I have spent 2 days in bed in the dark. So we are now 4 days away from leaving for Chicago. We leave bright and early, or dark and early, on Wednesday. And I still have a whole bunch of stuff to do. So this live is really just a getting stuff done live because I need to get these samples packed. And honestly, I don't know that I'll get them packed if I'm just chilling by myself. So I need to grab a different pen than what I have. Do I? No, that's a waterproof pen. I want to plug this in so that everything charges while I'm on live. And then we're gonna get into packing samples. So some things I'm taking as bottles because I don't use them enough to justify keeping a bottle of them. Like this lovely calligraphy ink from Ferris Press. I just don't use dip pens enough, and I ruined all my dip nibs a couple months ago because of brain injury. I forgot them when I was cleaning them and only remembered about them like 4 days later. So today's live is just getting stuff done because the brain injury torpedoed part of this week. So if you've got questions, feel free to ask them. It's gonna be chill. Yeah, for all I care, this can turn into a Q&A live. Mostly this is, I need to get this done, and I think it'll only get done if I do it on live, or I think it'll take me less time if I do it on live. Really, that's probably the answer, is that it won't take me hours to do if I do it on live. So first up, what am I taking bottles of? I'm taking bottles of Courtly Clover and Treasured Manuscript. Both of them are not my favorite. I really wanted to love Treasured Manuscript. I just don't, and so I'm taking a bottle of it. Hopefully somebody there wants it. I know people want the shimmery version of it, but I don't know that anyone's looking for the matte. So we'll see if somebody's looking for it. If they are, I'll have a bottle of it with me. So those are going as bottles. Sample-wise, I'm putting a huge selection of things in samples. Some of it common, some of it uncommon. So Ferris Press stuff, fairly common, other than Writing Desk, which you can only get from the Ferris Press website or from Wonder Pens. But it keeps appearing on people's lists of favorite brands, and I keep seeing Americans in the comments talking about how they wished it was easier to get. So I will be taking a couple samples of it with me, mostly because I haven't put it in a pen for over a year. I've used it in the past year, but I haven't used it in a pen. And then I'm taking samples of Monteverde inks. I'm taking samples of the Sailor Kirigiro, which is their permanent black, which is my favorite permanent black ink. It's totally waterproof. I love it, especially on watercolor paper. I'm also taking samples of Montblanc inks. I only have 3. They aren't going to be huge samples, but I feel like, especially Cool Gray, doesn't get enough love. I think people overlook it, when in reality, their price per ml, especially because they're 60 ml bottles, isn't actually all that bad. So I'm taking samples of them. I'm also taking samples of the Pelikan highlighter ink because I think people overlook it. And then I'm taking samples of show inks because neither of these have ended up in a pen. Honestly, that's why they're going. I'm also, any of the inks I've got in 85 ml bottles, samples are going of them. So to start with though, I'm gonna clear off this desk a bit more, and I'm going to check to make sure my 85 ml bottle of Dusk and Bloom looks the same as my 68 ml bottle of Dusk and Bloom, because I know from Storied Blue that there were some consistency issues, and I want to make sure they're the same before I take anything out of this little bottle, seeing as it is my daily blue. So we're just actually gonna sort of push things to the side. I'm unsure, so I bounce back and forth. If you're not a fan of the bouncing back and forth, this is not the live for you today. Brain injury is in full force, and I am not going to stay on topic. So if you can't handle that, that's totally fine, but this is not the live for you. Crystal Blue Legacy is very similar to Stroke of Midnight. The difference is Crystal Blue Legacy is just the blue shimmer, and Stroke of Midnight has blue and gold and silver and red. We have 2 bottles of Stroke of Midnight because it's Mom's favorite ink. She always has it in a pen. But I also have a bottle of Crystal Blue Legacy that Ferris Press sent to me. And so I'm unsure if I'm just going to take samples of Crystal Blue Legacy or if I'm going to take the entire bottle. I might take the entire bottle because honestly, I don't use it. And so I think it's time to pass it along to somebody else, because if I want a dark blue that's sparkly, I'm going to reach for Ferris Press. So for now, this is going to go in the full bottle pile. That might change. We'll see. I will say something very fun is happening with Monteverde at the show. That's the only teaser you'll get. But I'm very excited. Like, very excited. Oh, this is the other one I can't decide about, Knitted Nettle. I have not inked this in a pen. I've used it in a single piece. And while I do like it, there are other shimmer greens I like more and I use more. So I am undecided on if I'm keeping it or not, purely because at the end of the day, if I'm going to use a shimmer green, I'm going to use something like Brilliant Beanstalk, or I think it's Emerald Gardens. Where are we? Yeah, Brilliant Beanstalk or Emerald Gardens. I'm keeping Gale Force Green for now because it's part of a set, though Gale Force Green will probably at some point be on the giveaway list. Just like these 3 go really well together, and this one's sort of an outlier. It's sort of like Aurora Borealis from Diamine if you added shimmer to it. And I do quite like the shimmer to it. It's a pink color shift. It's just not a color that I reach for. I haven't actually used it other than the month it came out. So I'm unsure if I'm going to take the whole bottle or if I'm going to pull samples from it. So if you're coming to the show and are looking for a bottle of it, let me know, because then I'll bring the bottle of it. Otherwise, I might just pull samples from it. But let's... Oh, there's the little baby pen. Let's open this up. I don't know that I've actually opened this. They did change their 85 ml packaging. I don't love their new packaging. I find it really hard to open. The old one, you just lift it off a lid. This one's got like tabs and stuff. This is less user-friendly for me, I find. But, oh, I might have opened it. I don't know. I also find it a lot harder to get it out of this packaging. There we go. I do like, though, the little bags. So, do we have any more of the cola rings that got scribbled on? It has blue ink on it. All right, we're just gonna dip the other end of this one. All right. Oh, I love this color. So hopefully when that dries, it matches that. I have my doubts. I have some pretty serious doubts. We'll see. I don't know that they're going to match. All right. Well, that figures itself out. Let's pull samples from something. Thought I brought the little pipettes down, did I not? I might not have. That's annoying. Where did I put them? Oh, I did bring them down. I just set them beside my desk, not on my desk. All right. I have some doubts. I might not be pulling samples of this because those look to be two different colors. Shit. Oh, all right. Also, if you don't like swearing, not the live for you today. My brain is still in like the rebooting itself after a brain flare phase. And we're still in like the I have no filter. So if you don't like swearing, not the live for you. All right. We're gonna pull three samples or 4 samples of this Pennonia. How big is this bottle? I want to say it's a 60 ml that I have used none of. I've used almost none of. Look at all the shimmer at the bottom. Yeah, I've used almost none of this. Because my fear is always I pull a whole bunch of samples and then no one wants them. That being said, like a month afterwards is the Pelican Hub. And so I might just bring samples to that as well. Whatever I don't trade there, I might just bring to the Pelican Hub in a month. So I'm not worried about having too many samples in this case. I still haven't managed. I've been shaking this entire time and there's still a layer of glitter at the bottom. When I say this ink sets, I mean it sets. Like we're still shaking. There's still glitter at the bottom of this jar. There we go. I will say though, that of all my inks, there's something really fun about this color. I just don't use it. I wish I did. I wish I used it. I think I would have a lot of fun with it if I actually used it. All right, is there a labeled syringe for this one? There probably is. There's lights of Niagara. All right. I'm gonna put the lid back on this pen. It's already settled out. Honestly, I have a love-hate relationship with this ink. It just settles out so quickly. All right. On today's episode of How Shaky Are My Hands? Alright, I'm going to put the lid back on all of these, and we are going to give them a little shake, get all those air bubbles out, and see where we actually are volume-wise. Because I think we're above 2.5 mil. And seeing as between 2 and 2.5 was my goal, that one's 2.5. This one's closer to 3. I would say that's a win. Yep, those are all between 2 and 2.5. So I'm going to call that a success. Because honestly, the biggest pen that I have ink volume wise is my TWSBI Eco, and I think that's 2 mil. So 2.5, I think, gives people enough to fill a pen and swatch. Does it? I don't know. Let's write labels while I think on that. That's drying. Do they need more ink? I don't know. I can't decide. Because they're not gonna, okay, I'm not doing 4 mil ink samples. But do I want to do 3 mil ink samples? And if so, am I doing 3 mil ink samples of everything? I don't know that I want to do 3 mil ink samples of Montblanc inks. Or at least not the Montblanc limited edition ink. Oh. If anyone has a thought, let me know while I ponder this. Because honestly, at the moment, I have no idea what size to do. I don't know if I put more ink in them. Well, this one's already basically 3. Actually, they're all already basically 3. Never mind. We're not doing 4 mil ink samples, so we're going to leave it there. And yes, I am doing labeled stickers instead of labeling the vial, and look at all that shimmer. I will say this is the most shimmery ink I own. I know of a few people that have put it in pens. I think everyone though has put it in Benus or Twisbees, like something that can really handle the shimmer. I have yet to put it in a pen. I have used it, but not in a pen, because I am worried that it will clog. That being said, it might go in a pen that I'm picking up in Chicago. There's a pen that I think it would look really fun in that I'm picking up next week. So. Oh, I lost it. I lost its name tag. Where did it go? Oh, it's in the abyss of the space under my chair. Oh, no, it's underneath my table. Which is actually much nicer than having to investigate under my chair for it, honestly. I would rather just, you know, have to look under my table. All right, so there are the first 3 ink samples. I might pull a 4th one. Honestly, I can't decide because it's just show exclusive and it's sort of weird and crazy, and I know when I've showed it off in the past, people have been interested. So yeah, sure, let's pour. Actually, even if I do a 4th one, I've still got so much of it. There's no reason not to do a 4th one. So, the layer of shimmer, shaky, 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 shaky. Okay, that's also Dusk and Bloom. They're not identical, they're closer. I'm also now wondering if my Ferris wheel press Dusk and Bloom, maybe my cola ring has faded. It does spend a lot of time in the sun, and so maybe we've got some sun bleaching going on. So I am less concerned than I was a few minutes ago. All right, there's Pennonia done. I don't actually know how many ink samples is too many ink samples, but I'm also, currently I'm only signed up for the Friday ink swap because the Thursday one happens like an hour before my class starts. But I'm probably going to pop into it if I have time. So really I'm packing like I'm going to both ink swaps. All right, So there's the first 4 done. Where's a bin that I can put these in? There's a bin. I will say the brain injury is brain injuring today. We're having a day, and I'm just sort of existing in it. So, where can I put this? Okay, the cup is moving. All of these little things up here are moving. Don't fall over. And yes, I'm drinking water out of a Disney Parks cup from the water parks because it's got a handle. That's about where my hands are at right now with functionality. Like, they could be the same color and one's just faded. And actually I can figure that out because I did swatch Dusk and Bloom this month. And actually that's still damp. So, whatever. Next up, oh, let's do what I know is going to make a mess. Andurilium Harbor Blue. Atlas still sells this ink. This was the Chicago Pen Show ink for 2024. All right. Keep wanting to spell it O-U-R. All right. Let's grab our 4 sample buys. I will say, I dislike opening Andurilium ink bottles. I can never do it without making a mess. So we're actually gonna move that Montblanc bottle. Did I do it this time without getting, oh, I did it. That feels like such a win. The fact that I've opened that bottle without getting ink everywhere feels like such a win. Normally, it makes such a mess. I dislike Andurilium ink bottles. I like Andurilium inks. I dislike Andurilium ink bottles enough that I don't actually own any more Andurilium inks. I find them really hard to open. So, let's grab our sample vials. And I believe there's a labeled thing for Andurilium. There is. One that I've even used. Just at some point. Oh yeah, I did this for a Facebook Marketplace trade. I do have to say, I love Facebook ink swaps. It's such a fun way to try new inks. There, there's about 3 mil in each, which has made a significant dent in my bottle of Andrellium, which means I can now open it without making a mess, which is lovely. So we're gonna clean the rims, we're gonna put lids, we're gonna put labels on each of these. I didn't make a mess with that one. Fantastic. And I'm also gonna get Mom to, oh, never mind. I totally made a mess. I'm also gonna get Mom to re-tighten all of these lids when I'm done, just so that I make sure that the lids are on really tightly on everything, so that there are no leaks. I know some people like tape their sample vials. I've had no luck doing that. I still find that sometimes they leak. So I'm just gonna get Mom to check the lids on all of them to make sure they're tight. And I do make sure that all of them have the little rubber ring. I've only had 1 or 2 that haven't had the rubber ring in it, so it's pretty uncommon for them not to have it. So there we go. Let's cut up our labels. Number 1. Number 2. I dropped my sheet of labels. Number 3. So Atlas still has this ink in stock. But I know that I wouldn't have bought a full bottle of it if I'd been able to just get a sample of it. I just really wanted the Chicago Pen Show ink. So I only got a full bottle of it because there was no way to get a sample. So there we go. First ink on my hands of this. Shocking that it took 2 inks in for that to happen. What are we going to do next? Let's do, shall we do the Monteverdes? Or the 85 mils? Let's do the 85 mils. Because once again, I think these are both going to make a mess. So I've used a significant amount of both of these. And I'm going to pull, let's actually quickly look at samples. How much do I like that green? How much of that green do I have? Yeah, I've got 4 sample vials worth of that green. So we're gonna do 12 mils of that in total. Where are we at for the red? So I do like this red. We're gonna do 12 mils of that in total as well. All right. So we're going to start with, let's start with red, which is an A, Algonquin maple. There's Morningside mint. All right. Let's write out all these labels first. How do you spell Algonquin? Really, as a Canadian, I should know this. Oh, I did know this. Then Morningside mint. I want to say Morningside mint's been discontinued, but I have a giant bottle of it. So. We're just gonna distribute some. All right, all of our lovely labels. I will say I'm also, once this is all over, pulling samples of stuff for myself because we are going away afterwards, and I know that things like my black pen are probably going to need to be re-inked at some point while I'm away. So I will be pulling probably a 4 ml sample of black, a sample of rose pink, a sample of dusk and bloom, like all the stuff I use frequently for myself for my travel case. So let's keep going. What do I want to do first? Do I want to do red or do I want to do green first? I guess we're doing red because those labels are first. I don't know that I can do this without making a mess, but we're gonna try. I need one of those ink sample vial holders, but I do not have one. So we're gonna use the lids as little resting places. We've made a dent though, because I can move all that stuff up. We're also onto the new ink samples. And I know that because the O-rings in them are white and not black. I do wish the 85 ml bottles, I don't know if the new ones have labels. I do wish the old ones had labels. There's no identifier on them. And so there's no way to know what color this is. So you have to put them back in the original packaging. It's the same issue with Montblanc actually, with their limited edition bottles. There's just a code on the bottom of them. So I will say that does bug me about the 85 ml bottles. Algonquin maple. I do love Algonquin. So pretty. This ink is so red, which is lovely. Like it's a true, pull a sample afterwards, it's a true red ink, which is hard to find. I have the same issue with red inks that I have with red watercolors, that it's hard to find a good true red. And I will say that Ferris Wheel Press did nail it with this color. That being said, it's almost too good of a red. In the sense that it like stains your fingers and sort of looks like you've got an open cut on your hands. So trying to be very careful and not get too much of this on my skin, because I know it'll be there for days if I do. So let's close this first. And wipe that. Like, look at that red. That is a red that knows it's a red. And honestly, there's something quite nice about that. There are lots of reds that like want you to believe they're reds and they're not reds. So I appreciate a red that knows it's a red and wants the world to know that it's a red. I think these new sample vials are slightly larger than my old ones. I'm gonna have to compare, but I think there's a little bit of a size difference. They seem taller. Oh no, they've just got different lids. Their lids are wider. That's the only difference. All right. Let's label these babies. As I'm packing this, I'm realizing that I don't even know if Algonquin maple is still a color they carry. Honestly, they have so many colors that it's hard to keep track sometimes. So we leave dark and early Wednesday. The show starts, or the event starts on Thursday. And so we are leaving very early Wednesday. It's about an 8.5-hour drive. So if all goes well, by mid-afternoon we'll be in Chicago, which gives us time to go to the store and drop stuff off and do all that sort of stuff. So So it's Ferris wheel press Algonquin maple. So I have a huge bottle of it. And really right now I'm just packing things that I know I've got big bottles of or that are slightly harder to find. So Algonquin maple has been packed. I've packed samples of both of the show inks I have. And we're also going to pack some samples of Montblanc stuff. So I'm teaching a class on the Thursday, and so I'm going to drop off my supplies at the store so that it's done, so that they're there. Creative exploration of inks. The link to it, if you're in the Chicago area, the link to it I believe is still up on my community tab. I think there's one spot left, and there will be, I think Atlas and I discussed that there will be walk-ins potentially available. We just need to sort of finalize that decision. But I think there will be up to 4 walk-in spots available for it. So we'll see. But pre-booking spots, I think there's 1 left. So if you're in the Chicago area and want to attend, there's still 1 spot left for that class. So this is Morningside Mint. Apparently I've now committed to doing 3 milling samples. And I don't know why I'm filling these ones right to left like a crazy person, but apparently I am. Apparently I like living on the edge. They're 3 mil. Mostly because I don't have a syringe. I have, the only syringe I have, I use for watercolor. So I have no syringe for inks. So for now, I use a mini pipette and I make it work. Oh, I adore the wand chair. It's currently on my desk because I was trying to figure out how to re-ink it without making a huge mess, and I decided that the easiest way to do that was actually to just run it dry and then to re-ink it. So I'm not going to re-ink it, I'm just going to run it dry. I fill my Con 40s with a pipette. Lots of people don't realize how little YouTube pays, and so for now I use what I have. So for now I have a whole bunch of the tiny, I think they're 0.3 ml pipettes, and I'm just making it work. So we're gonna label up all these sample vials, and then what are we gonna do next? Let me do the Pelican highlighter next, because honestly that's a lot of fun and I'm really excited to be taking it with me. Because I think people don't buy it because they don't realize how much fun it is, but like it glows under black light and stuff. It's great. Honestly, if you're gonna buy a highlighter ink, buy the Pelican one. They do say it's only for use in their M205. I can't find any reason for that, so I think it's just a marketing thing. But if someone from Pelican wants to get in touch and tell me an actual reason why that ink can only be used in that one very specific pen, I'd love to hear it. This one's just gonna have a fat label on it. No, it's not. It looks weird. Oh. I love how this was supposed to be like a Thursday task and now it's Saturday. And here we are because this week got torpedoed by the brain injury. Oh, lovely. All right, I might actually come back and fill more sample vials with Algonquin maple and Morningside mint because I still have, I've now probably used a quarter of each of them. There's so much for them left. And that's after over a year of having actually used them. I've had them in pens. I've done art pieces with them. It's just 85 mils is so much ink. Oh, I do like them, but they're not. So they were the first inks I received as part of the Ferris Press Jubilee program. And so I didn't get to pick the colors. And if I was going to choose inks to commit to 85 mils of, that green, and that red would not be it. They're lovely colors. They're super fun. But as colors go, they're not the color palette I write with day to day. And so even though I use them in art pieces, I write with them, I don't use them frequently enough to make a dent in them. And so I'm really struggling to use them up. So I've packed 12 mils of ink samples of them. And I'll probably, once I pack everything I've got pulled, I'll probably pack another, I'm definitely going to pack more of the green. I really don't use the green. I do use the red. But Morningside Mint, I just don't use unless I'm using it in an art piece. So I do mix inks, just not super frequently. It's just not really something I do very often. I'm probably only going to pack, how much do I want to pack? Do I just want to pack 2 samples of this? No, let's just pack 2. grab 2 of these. And I know there's a syringe for this. Just let's shake this first. Because I used it last week. I just did an ink sample of this for somebody. Like 4 or 5 days ago, actually. This ink is crazy. It is so radioactively yellow. Do I have my black light flashlight? It glows in the dark, or it glows under UV light. It's such a fun ink. It's also really hard to tell how much you've got in an ink sample. There, that's 3 ml. I'm actually going to put this lid on before I do the next one because I don't trust myself not to knock it over. It is so much fun. Oh, I do have my blacklight flashlight. It's going to make, I'm going to give everyone a heads up, it's going to make the camera so weird for a minute, but it's really fun. It's just crazy. I've used it on black paper to do like invisible ink stuff. Like it's just so much fun. And I'm so glad I have a bottle of it. They do it in a couple other colors. They do, I think, a pink, a green, and I want to say a blue. In my opinion, the yellow is the coolest. And also the only one that I've actually been able to find anywhere other than Amazon. And on Amazon, you're paying a significant markup for them. I think this bottle was like $10 at the Chicago Pen Show. So I'm very happy with it. It's super fun. It's super cool. And it's also a lot of fun to actually have in a pen. I'm always surprised at how often I actually use a highlighter. So I'm gonna stick the lids on both of those. We're gonna stick the lid on this. I'm gonna stick labels on them. That being said, I'm only doing 2 samples of it because I really like it and it's hard to find. And so I don't want to give up my stash of it. Colorverse does have some cool and odd stuff. I don't know that they have anything that glows under UV. The only other thing I have that glows under UV is Pennonia, which this is the Scriptus ink from last year, which is both shimmery and glows under UV. And I am taking, I've got 4 samples of this packed because it's a 60 ml bottle and I have yet to actually put it in a pen. I really wanted it. Scriptus was my first pen show. That being said, I really struggle with using this ink because it feathers on every paper I've tried it on. There are lots of people that have no issues with it. I just have yet to find a paper it works really well on. So we are going to label these things with their little sticky tabs. And then we're going to, what's next? Shall I do the Okay, let's do the thing that I'm also only pulling 2 samples of, which is Montblanc thing that I'm looking at, which helps no one. I'm realizing that like description helps no one, but this glorious thing, Around the World in 80 Days. I'm going to pull 2 samples of this. So if you want a sample of it, come find me at the pen show and come find me early because I don't know that I'll have this out for the swap. but I'll probably have them in my pocket. I do have Cool Gray out. I am going to pull samples of it, but I'm probably going to pull 3 samples of Cool Gray and 3 samples of blue. Though all my Montblanc ones I am going to do is 2 mil or 2.5 mil. Just because I don't have a bunch of them. So let's grab 2. Let's write these labels. Yes, Lori and I did discuss this color. It's a great color, and not one that she has. She has lots of the Montblanc limited edition inks. She did not have this one. That being said, I quite enjoy this one, and she has a couple that I'm really, really into. She also just got Toffee Brown, and I am super jealous. So let's pull samples of these. I have to say, I love the Montblanc bottles. They're just so pretty. And oh, this one actually is labeled. This one's got around AWA. It's the same acronym I use when I'm talking about it. Around the World in 80 Days. I have gotten so many inks from Facebook. There's a very active Canadian page on Facebook for pens and inks and ink swaps, and I love it. And I've gotten not many pens, I've got many nibs and many inks and ink swaps through that page. This one's actually labeled, so I wonder if that's a Canadian thing, because I know that she was complaining that there was just this code on her bottles, whereas this one says what I would know is around the world in 80 days, AW80D. Interesting. I don't know that I've got a... Yep, my syringe for this is labeled almost the same thing as the bottom of that bottle. So let's pop these open. I do love this color. So this is also from, she buys her inks from the official Montblanc boutique. I buy mine from the official Montblanc boutique. The difference is she's in the US and I'm in Canada. So it's just apparently slightly different labeling by country, because here it seems like they label yeah, it seems like they label, which she was complaining they didn't, or it could be a my boutique thing. Who knows? There. We're gonna do 2.5 mil, because I think that's enough. I think 2.5 mil is a fill on most pens. So I will say this ink looks so deceiving in the bottle. Like the dried ink on the rim looks green. but really it's labeled as a brown, but it swatches as a gray. Of all the inks I own, this one is probably one of the most confusing because I've also seen swatches of it online where it is a brown. Mine just happens to not be. Mine is a very, very pretty gray that leans a little bit green. We're actually going to grab a clean Kleenex to tidy off this rim so that this lid does not stick. But I do love the Montblanc bottles. So I'll have my swatch books with me where I've got everything swatched out, like if people really want to see a color before I trade. But I think for the most part, like some people do stickers on top with colors. I did debate that. If it wasn't for the fact that I've spent 2 days miserably ill in bed, I might do that. I don't have the energy, honestly. And so this is sort of a case of like what happens, happens. And in this case, what's happening is these are all being labeled. They've all got information on them, and you know, Google exists. So we have a small community in Bangladesh. Okay, it will never stop being cool to me that people watch this channel from all over the world. Like, I will never get over that feeling. I don't know that it will never stop being cool to me. And it is probably different rules by state or by country. But it could also be by boutique, because I know that lots of stores won't swatch ink colors. Mine will. But I also don't know that they do that for everyone. I have a very lovely sales associate, and everyone that works there is quite lovely. All right, these we are going to do. I'm going to do 5 samples of each. They're 90 ml bottles. Math is so hard. 90 ml bottles, 3 mls each. That's 15. Sure. 5. And then I need 6 for the pink because I need 1 of my own. I try to do as many swatching videos as I can. I love swatching videos, honestly. Some of the best part of the process for me is just getting to sit down and swatch. And if I wasn't so busy right now, I would be swatching as I go. But for the moment, this is sort of like chaotic speed run of packing ink samples. So this is what I need 6 of. I need a sample for myself. That has to go up there. All right, let's grab a new sticker sheet. Honestly, I cut too many stickers because I did all of those with a single run of stickers. I cut 2 full sticker sheets and did all of the first set of bottles with a single line of stickers. So let's just start labeling. that? That's 8. I need 16, I want to say. Put the R. I'm glad you enjoy them. I will say there's about, I think I've got like 50 of like the dip ink swatching videos for shorts banked right now. The goal was to be all caught up in posting them by the time I left for Atlas this week. That's not going to happen unless I post like 10 a day, which I don't know that people want 10 shorts a day of ink swatching. Let me know if I'm wrong. But I did a whole bunch of sample trades at the beginning of the summer, and so I have like 50 ink sample swatching reels banked right now. So they're all ready to post. And I was meaning to be posting like 2 a day. It hasn't happened. One, two, three. One, two, three. All right, there we go. There are the next whole batch of them. Shorts are tough. It's hard to pick the right sound, and it's all about sound to get on the feed. And honestly though, I like doing shorts for color swatching, especially the Cola Ring dip reels. They work pretty well. And yeah. So the goal was to have them all posted before I left for Atlas, because I know I'm picking up inks at Atlas. And so, you know what, we're just gonna rock the whole never being caught up with ink swatching videos. It's the reality now. And yeah, I am just never going to be caught up with ink swatching videos. So I need to shake this. We do 90 mils. I'm doing 5 3 mil samples of them, because that seems like a good idea. but I also haven't pulled any of them, pulled ink from any of them yet, so they all get a new mini pipette and a new little thing in the ink tray. Normally I'd label them. Honestly, I don't feel like it right now. So we're just gonna fill, put lids on, there's one. I am going to a Pelican Hub, so my local one didn't happen. It didn't get enough participants, but I am going to go to one. I got onto the list for a much larger one. I think currently the guest list for it is 150 people, and so I will be attending in September, which is why I'm not worried about overpacking ink samples for Chicago, because I figure whatever I don't use at this, I can just take to the Pelican Hub with me. I believe it's the largest Pelican Hub in the world, is the Toronto one. I think they get an exception to the normal person max for Toronto. So it is massive, and it should be a lot of fun though, and I'm quite excited. But it's going to be nice to have a little bit of a break between the sidewalk sale and a big event like it. Because I think otherwise it would be quite a lot to go from an event in Chicago to an event that large. So let's keep going. But it is also my first Pelican Hub as well. Last year I missed the cutoff, and so I did not attend. This year though, I signed up on the first day of signups, and then my local hub did not meet the minimum. So when they sent out the you can switch to a larger hub, I did. And I switched to the one lots of my friends were going to. August is really the month for pen shows, because then at the end of the month is San Francisco. So I know there are lots of brands that are from overseas that are really making it work this year, because they're doing DC, Stationery Fest, Sidewalk Sale, and then San Francisco. And then some of them are even doing Orlando, which is the first week of September. Lovely to have you. Really, this is just me getting stuff done and not wanting to be bored out of my mind. And so doing it on live makes it far more fun. I'm gonna call that good. What's that? That's 4, we're done, or 5, we're done. Great. All right. I always make the Juicy Broad Spot broadcasts. Do I stay the entire time? Not always, but I do enjoy them. I do love Vanessa and Lori, and they were so much fun to have on 20 Questions. They're just so much fun to talk to. So. There are still so many inks on my desk. might have overestimated the number of ink samples. But again, like, the issue is I don't know how many people are coming to the ink swaps. I don't know what people will have that I might want to trade for. Most of the shows I go to don't have ink swaps, and so I don't know what the etiquette is for ink swaps. And so I'm packing more than I think I need, with the understanding that I probably won't need all of them. But I've got them. So we're just going to label all of these. The new tubes also seem to be coated because the ink is not sticking to them in the same way that it does to the old tubes. Vanessa's was one, I would say Vanessa's was one of the quickest in studio. She was, if you compared her to the on location ones, she was still significantly longer, but of the in the studio ones, she was one of the quickest. I think the quickest in total so far, if you look at the in the studio and on location at the show ones, Cheryl Ball still wins with under 3 minutes, including introduction. So I am taking full bottles. I'm also taking samples because I know from other people I've talked to that lots of people swap samples. And so now I'm taking both. So the things I'm taking full bottles of are things that I no longer want. Like a couple Ferris wheel press inks. The things that I'm taking samples of are things that I like, but maybe I don't like in the size of bottle I have. So maybe I've got a 90 ml bottle of something that I'm not going to use 90 mils of. So those are what I'm also putting in sample vials to trade. Yeah, the on-location episodes are incredibly fast. I think the longest on-location episode is 7.5 minutes. And the Atlas brothers, Brian and Brendan, competed against each other, filmed theirs back-to-back, and managed to do it like, I think it was like 10 seconds apart. Or less than 10 seconds. There was such a crazy split between the two of them. It was so much fun. Honestly, I love filming episodes on location, and I'm so excited that I get to do it next week. Because I have permission. I talked with Atlas again last week, and so I've got permission to film episodes of the show, and so they're on top of next season, which starts, I will say the season finale of 20 Questions for season 1 is Monday. So that's very exciting. I meant to promote it this week that the season finale was Monday, but the season finale of season 1 is Monday. Season 2 will be starting in September, but there will be show episodes coming out after the show. I will see about doing it at the Pelican Hub. I don't know where it's being hosted. I don't know which of like my friends are going. So we'll see. Who I end up filming with at the Pelican Hub, or if I even end up filming. I think the hub master at these events is probably pretty busy. So I think it's far more likely that I get to film with friends that I tend to only talk to online at this event than to be able to film with the hub master. Just because I think they'll probably be fairly busy. So my area didn't get one. And so I'm going to one of the largest hubs, which is the Toronto hub, which has, I believe, 150 people registered for it. And so it should be quite fun and interesting. I didn't go to a hub last year, and so I'm quite interested to see what it's actually like in person. I've seen a whole bunch of people's videos on them, but honestly, I've never been to one, and so I think it'll be quite a lot of fun. But I know there are lots of people in the pen world that either decided not to go to one or like didn't get into one this year. They seem sort of harder to get into this year, or they seem like less happen this year. Facebook Marketplace. Facebook Marketplace. See if your area has a group for fountain pens. My area does. There's a great group in Canada for fountain pens. Otherwise, just like list them on Marketplace. That's where I've purchased a lot of my vintage pens, is just through random Marketplace listings of people that have like bought stuff at estate sales. And yeah, there's also a couple people have Discords. I'm not a huge fan of Discord, but I know that some people have luck with buying inks and stuff through Discord. And Reddit's always an option. I don't love the Reddit page for ink swaps or selling inks, because there are a lot of rules. You have to have a certain amount of karma to be able to sell, and it's a very specific type of karma. And even after 2 years or 18 months of being active on Reddit, I've only just reached that minimum. And so I think it makes it quite exclusive, which if you're just trying to sell inks that you no longer want, isn't great. What vintage do I have? I have 3 Parkers. I have a Schaefer. I have a Waterman. Do I have any other vintage? No, I don't think so. I've got some cross ballpoint pens, but honestly, the Parkers and the Waterman and the Schaefer. So I have 2 21s and a 45, all from Facebook Marketplace or estate sales, which I love. I love estate sales. You find so many hidden gems that other people overlook, like really nice fountain pens. Okay, send me a DM on Instagram, because there is a huge fountain pen community in Halifax, Nova Scotia, because I talk to people from there all the time, and buy inks from somebody from there. And I've just bought pen nibs from somebody from there. So if you DM me on Instagram, I can give you the information for the Canadian swap group, because I think that's where you want to be. Because I literally just bought pen nibs from somebody in Halifax a couple weeks ago. And yeah. So it is possible to find, yeah. I would say if I were you, the first thing I'd do, 1, send me a DM on Instagram and I will get you the information for the group. Number 2 is I'd put up just a listing on Facebook Marketplace. You will be surprised at how many hits and things you get just putting up a normal Facebook Marketplace listing. It works surprisingly well. All right. So there's where we are so far. Let's grab this. I love this color. It's currently in a pen this month. If you watched the fountain pen inked video that came out today, you will know that it is in my Leonardo Belladinote from Goldspot, which, as I discovered when somebody commented on my Facebook asking if I was selling mine, it's sold out. So if you wanted it, I hope you got it while it was in stock. Because it is totally sold out. And I do love this pink. It's quite pretty. And I got this bottle as a Prime Day deal for super cheap. I got this bottle as a Prime Day deal for less than the normal size bottle, or the 30 ml, is currently at Atlas. So I was very happy. I believe this entire bottle was like, I want to say it was like $10 on Prime Day. For 90 mils of ink. I know. Which is why I now own 90 mils of it. Did I need 90 mils of it? No. But I liked the color. And I knew I had a pen. I knew I wanted to put it in the Leonardo. And so I got 90 mils of it. And we're just gonna fill these all up. Because why not? We've made a dent in this sample vial, so I ordered 100. Mostly because I burned through the 50 that I ordered at the beginning of the summer in ink trades already this summer. Which tells you just how many ink trades I've done this summer. Mostly mystery ink swaps, actually, which I have to say are one of my favorite things to do. I love doing mystery ink swaps, mostly because I keep acquiring inks that I would never normally purchase and discovering that I love them, which is dangerous because I normally stick to my rule of like nothing shimmery, like everything has to play nice on the paper I use, like all that sort of stuff. I'm very much like a practical inks person. And I keep acquiring things in ink swaps that do not fit those rules that I quite enjoy. But they are super fun and I do really enjoy them. So I'm going to keep doing them. I have no plans of stopping them. And they're also a great way to try out a whole bunch of new brands without purchasing bottles. So 3 mils. I am also going to put 3 mils in my own sample vial. Actually, I might put 4 because this is currently in a pen. And I know that I'm going to run the Leonardo dry while I'm away. So once I've filled all these up with 3, I'm going to put 4 in the 6th sample vial I've grabbed out. So currently the launcher is Earl Grey from Diamine, and I really like it being a dark color. It's one of those pens that I thought I was going to put something bright into, and in the end have really enjoyed having as a neutral because it fits in my bag or fits in my wallet, and so it's this really tiny pen that's just got a neutral color in it, which makes it really user friendly to just have in a pocket. And so I think, yes, I do. There are definitely a couple things I've got in sample vials right now that I've gotten in swaps that I'm going to pass along. Because they're not for me, or they're too similar to something else I own. And when I do that, there's this whole, once I finish filling this, there's a whole section of my cola ring that's just colors I no longer have, so that I can see colors that I've swatched and gotten rid of, so that I don't repurchase them. Or if I'm looking at them and go, oh, this is really pretty, I can look at the swatches and go, oh yeah, it's really pretty. Do you like it better now? Because I don't see, much like paints, I don't see the point in keeping something I'm not going to use. That's sort of a hard and fast rule in my paints, is that I don't keep something that I'm not going to use. And so, where's it in here? Nope, it's in here. So, we have the calligraphy, we've got shimmers, we've got calligraphy, and then we've got traded. So, I gave away, last time I was in Chicago, I gave away 2 of the Ferris wheel press calligraphy inks. The 3rd one is being traded this time. But this little traded section means that when I get rid of something, it just goes in this back section, and I know I've got a sample of what it was, I know I've gotten rid of it, and I can also see exactly what it looked like, which for me is a really great system because I know exactly what it looked like, and I really like it as a system. Yep. That's the perfect example. So the green one is also a calligraphy ink, which means you can only use it with dip pens. And I ruined all my dip nibs a few months back in a brain injury moment where I walked away from them in the midst of cleaning them and never went back to them. And by the time I got back to them, they were totally rusted and they don't work anymore. And so they are now totally ruined, and I have not repurchased dip nibs. So this is I love I adore the people now that don't know that this is a watercolor channel. This is a watercolor channel primarily. Pre-fountain pen 20 questions, which I love that I get to host. This is and was and still is a watercolor channel. I do weekly painting tutorials. I do color mixing videos where I walk you through how to mix for really expensive watercolor sets. I have done videos where I duplicate really expensive palettes. So last year there was a $300 watercolor palette that was going viral in the art world, and I went through and I figured out how you could recreate it for significantly less with pigments that most artists already had in their collections. I have done videos comparing really expensive watercolor palettes to really cheap watercolor palettes. I have done videos where I mix for an entire watercolor palette based off of a photo and a pigment list. What else have I done? Pre-representing a pre-ever representing fountain pen brands, I represented a paint brand and have happened to represent them for going on 4 years. I've now worked with Laura since 2020. So yeah, 4 years. So yeah, this is at the end of the day primarily a watercolor channel that has a fountain pen tangent. At the end of the day, though, it is primarily a watercolor channel, and it's all about, you know, using things in fun, creative ways. I love the fountain pen videos I got to do, but my first love will always be watercolor. Okay. Yeah, so primarily I'm a watercolor channel. I primarily paint. If you follow me on Instagram, 90% of what you see are painting videos with some pen content sprinkled in for good measure. But I think there's now something like 400 painting videos on my channel, with some watercolor stuff sprinkled in, with some fountain pen stuff sprinkled in, but primarily I'm a watercolor channel. Can I use a water brush? You can totally use a water brush to start off again. I have a whole collection of water brushes sitting next to my desk, actually. And while I don't use them in videos very often, I do use them. Here's my cup of water brushes with an X-Acto knife in it. No, water brushes are great. If water brushes are how you're going to get back into painting, use a water brush. If, painting with fountain pen ink is how you're going to get back into painting, paint with the fountain pen ink. If, what you're using is a dollar store watercolor set, paint with the dollar store watercolor set. Honestly, I am all for just having fun with what you have. I am lucky enough that I've got a huge paint collection, but not everyone does, and most of what I have has been sent to me over the years by brands. That's the honest truth, is that most of what I have I did not purchase, or if I purchased secondhand. I hate drawing. I hate drawing. If you watch any of the Paint Your Style lives where I have to draw, like last week's macaron challenge, you will hear me rant about how much I hate drawing. Drawing is not my favorite thing. Drawing is not my forte. But you know what? Eventually you can just make it work. Any size recommendations for water brushes? I really like the Sakura ones, purely because they hold their tip. So it's not a size recommendation as much as like a usability thing, which is the Sakura ones, out of all the brands I've tried, keep their tip, and they don't this one started out as a pointed tip and over the past like year or two has gotten all like fluffy. The Sakura ones don't, they stay pointy. And so if I was going to like go for a water brush over a paintbrush, I'd go for the Sakura ones because they stay pointy. These ones both came with Derwent sets. They stay pointy as well, but they are hard to find because I believe they only come with the set. All right, what's next? Shall we do Ferris wheel press again? Shall we go to something else? let's go and do something. All right, how do we actually feel about knitted nettle? It is that. That is knitted nettle. Honestly, I can't decide if I get rid of it or I keep it. Do I just do sample vials of it or do I just get rid of it? So it's got a color shift to it. It shifts, I think it's supposed to be pink to like green. Mine's sort of pink to orangey. No, mine's pink. Yeah, mine's pink to green. I just don't use it enough to justify having it. Cause like when I want something shimmery green, I'm reaching for one of those. Like that's just so different. So the question is, do I just put it in sample vials? Because it's hard to get the fairy tales as samples. Or do I just say bye to the bottle? First of all, how much have I used? I guess that's the deciding factor. How much is in this bottle? Oh, it's practically full. Is it actually full? Okay, so I've used, I can't sell it as a full. I've used probably a ml of it. Decisions, decisions, decisions. So I could distribute this in 2 samples, or I could not. What do I want to do? Yeah, so it's got a nice red sheen. It is a small bottle and that's close to full. All right, it's gonna go in the full bottle pile for now. We'll see if it stays there. But for now, it's gonna go in the bottle pile. All right, next up is Ferris wheel press. Whatever this is, Dusk and Bloom. I'm just making a mess at this point. I love their packaging too. Specifically, I love their lids because of the numbness in my hands. I like how easy their lids are to hold on to. But I do find the globe bottles hard to open just because they're smooth, whereas the 38 ml bottles I find really easy to open because they give me something to grip onto. So let's pull out 4 of these. Let's find Dusk and Bloom, Frontenac Blue, Emerald Gardens, Dusk and Bloom. So I haven't tried Waterman bottles. I've seen them a bunch, but I don't have any Waterman ink in my collection yet. So I'm thinking about Waterman Purple keeps coming up in 20 questions. But back to like what I was talking about before I got really off track. The whole like, it's really funny that people think I'm a fountain pen channel, because the way I actually gain the most subscribers is tiny trees. So the series that gains me the most subscribers is Tiny Trees, which is a short series. The series that most people now know me for is 20 Questions. The thing I actually spend the most time making content on is watercolor. So there's this whole percentage of people that only know me for making tiny tree paintings on shorts. And there's this other whole percentage of people that only know me for 20 Questions. And then there are these people that have been here for over a year at this point who just like don't know what they're gonna get when they get a notification from my channel, but just watch it anyways. Serenity Blue keeps coming up as well, as does their purple, whatever their purple's called. I honestly can't remember off the top of my head, but their purple keeps coming up in 20 Questions as people's recommendation for beginners. What's really funny to me is I'm now filming 20 Questions 10 weeks out. I'm filming 10 weeks out from where we are currently for 20 Questions. And so I am in conversations with people, like friends, referencing 20 Questions episodes where they had no idea that person was a guest yet. Because I'm filming 10 weeks out from where we actually are currently. Like Monday, I'm filming the season finale of season 2. Which tells you just how far in advance I'm working. Because season 2 has just as many episodes as season 1 had. So we are filming that many episodes out right now. And I have to say, season 2 has some really fun guests. I'm really excited about season 2, and I'm really excited about the season finale on Monday. The season finale on Monday is a lot of fun. There's a great rant in it from the guest. And I think everyone already knows who the guest is, because I haven't been quiet about it on social media. And there's already a video out about something he sent me. So I was too excited not to show it off when it arrived weeks ago. But yeah, 10 weeks ahead is what I'm filming for 20 Questions right now, which is sort of insane. I'm scheduling season 3 right now. Oh, yes. What he sent has already been shown off. Not that sending me anything is like part of the deal to be on the show, but he did at the end of the interview offer to send me something, and I was not going to say no when he showed me what it was. So it's been shown off. The second hint I'll give is that it's in this month's inked video for the second time. It's the second time I've had it inked in 3 weeks. Which tells you just how much I love it. So it will be coming out on Monday at 7 a.m. or 7:30 a.m. EST. It comes out Monday. Really, that's what matters, is that on Monday it comes out. All right, let's cut these labels. It's what he sent was not an ink. It was a pen. I've had Cool Gray for a number of months. Cool Gray is frequently in pens of mine. It's a pen that I've inked up twice in 3 weeks, or less than 3 weeks. He sent a pen. It is not a Pilot, it is not a Jinhao. I did get the Wancher at the Chicago Pen Show. And I've had the Pilot since before the Chicago Pen Show. Do I want to give one more hint? It had its own video. When I got it, it got its own video. Actually got 2 videos. Because I was very excited about it. Oh, we can fit some more. I shoved stuff into this tray. All right, what's next? Let's do Montblancs. Which we're gonna do 6 ml of each, but we're gonna do them in 2 ml samples. No, so I've had the Forest for like, how long have I had the Forest for? I think I've had the Forest since January. Though I think the unboxing short of the Forest only came out last week. It got lost in the wonderful world of YouTube uploads where I'd misscheduled it. Where instead of January, it got scheduled for July. So, I do love this pen. This pen handles waterproof ink really well and was a great Amazon purchase. It is okay. You're just going to have to wait for Monday for it to come out. It's a super fun video. And I did think he beat my 20 questions time for having the longest interview until I was editing it, and he just missed it. I think it's like 29 minutes. And mine was just over 30. a total midnight blue kit currently. No, Laurie's was not the longest. Was Hemingway Jones? No, Hemingway Jones was like 15. But Shannon Foster was longer. I was longer. I want to say Tom Odo was longer. I think Tom was like 26 minutes. There have been some quite long ones. They're fun though. Like even the long ones are super fun. Because lots of the times in the long ones, like we just have a lot more to talk about. What am I doing? I'm pulling samples from these. Okay. Welcome to the wonderful world of a brain injury day, where staying on task is really hard. Yes, time for a sip of water. And because as much as I know, like, dehydration didn't cause this flare-up of, like, irritating my brain injury, like, I know that 2 days in bed, I'm probably dehydrated now, and so I'm trying to make sure that I do everything I can to make the next couple days easier, to make next week easier. So, water is a must. I do like, so they changed their packaging. So I have some of it in the old packaging and some in the new packaging. And I do really like the old packaging. Like it's got a little pull tab. To me, it screams fancier than the new stuff, but whatever. It's fine. I'll live. It also has a little foam insert so the bottle can't move around. No, I really can't get a headache this week. Like I've already spent 2 days in bed I spent Thursday and Friday in bed, which really messed up like all this prep. And so we are now sort of scrambling, but we're scrambling and making it work. All right, cool gray. I would say that I pay retail. Yeah, I pay retail. So that's including tax, I believe $35 for the 60 ml bottles of standard, which isn't bad because Ferris wheel press 38 ml bottles are how much are Ferris wheel press 38 ml bottles? Like between 28 and 30 pre-tax, depending on where I buy them. So I'm not actually paying that much more, and it's significantly more ink. Plus, it's always fun to go to the Montblanc boutique and window shop. Because most of what I do at Montblanc is window shop. But on occasion, they have like the big trays of all the different sample pens with all the different nib sizes out, and like you get to try really weird pen grinds like that you just never see in real life. So last time we were in, they had a double broad left oblique out for people to try. And so Mom and I both got to try it, and it was super fun. Yes. Window shopping is great. Window shopping at Montblanc is even more fun, because our store also has a table where they've just got pens with limited edition inks in them, and so you could theoretically try out a whole bunch of the different limited edition inks before you choose one to buy, and it's super great. These are normally my paper-only scissors, but I've lost my, or I've already packed probably, my tape scissors. So these are being used today for this. It is so much fun. And I don't know that all stores do it. I think it's one of the flagship stores. And so that's probably why they do it there. But it is a lot of fun, and it means that you get to try out a whole bunch of different stuff. And they don't always have them out, but when they do, it's great. It means you get to try out some really cool things. Oops, something's tipped over. All right. Whereas this one is not labeled in English on the bottom. It is labeled, but it's not labeled in English. Interesting. This one was a special order for me though. So maybe it's direct from... Interesting, interesting, interesting. Because this one our store didn't have in stock, and so they special ordered it in. So I wonder if that's why it's got a different code on it, or the language is different on the label versus my 50 mil. Right. 1. 2. 3. So I do have those tiny vials that are actually like 1.8 mil. The issue with them is like you can't fit anything in them. You can fit a converter in them, but if you're trying to fill anything that doesn't use a converter, it's impossible because nothing fits in them. And so even though I'm not filling these a huge amount, I decided to just use the bigger sample vials so that you could really fill any pen. Because I think that just makes it easier. So as you can see, this one doesn't have the nice foamy. Also, the insert is now paper, which is probably a lot more sustainable than the foam insert that's in the old boxes. But I did really like the little foam that went on top of the old boxes, just so that nothing moved. Like it felt more secure. Whereas the paper in mine is like dinged because my box, the ink moves around a little bit. So That is something to note with the new boxes. And we've got 3 inks left. And then we're done. You can fill, so Jinhao 82s are cartridge converter. So you can fill them. You should be able to fill them with these. Because the opening of these is big enough to fit a Leonardo Momento Zero Grande, which is definitely larger than a Jinhao 82. So I would see no reason why you couldn't fill an 82 with these. The label doesn't want to stick to some of these vials, so I might have to put a little bit of packing tape over top. But I don't have packing tape down here, so we're just going to hope that nothing moves. No labels are allowed to pop off for my own sanity. All right. That bin's full. That bin is full. And we have 3 inks left. Plus, I still have to decide if I'm filling more of that green. I think I am, of the Morningside Mint. So, I have another sip of water, because we've now been streaming for almost 2.5 hours. And let's keep going. So, these are the last 2. Morningside Mint back. All right. And keep going. So, how big is antimatter, or matter? I'm not giving out samples of antimatter. I will, though, give out samples of matter. So I think matter is another like 65 ml bottle. Yeah. All right, let's do 3 samples of that. Oh, I love this. This is like, how much ink can I... So I think antimatter's 15, maybe, and then matter is 65. Let's grab 3. So I don't do that because I use so much ink in art that I just sort of rotate through it. My rule, though, is if I'm purchasing something, it has to fit my It's Not Shimmery. Like, it has to be something I'll actually use. And so most of what I purchase these days is shading and matte and muted, because that's the color palette I use, or Montblanc, because Montblanc plays nice and vintage, and so it's safe to put in pretty much anything. Color versus matter. Other than that, though, like, I don't have rules when it comes to ink. Several months ago, Hemingway Jones first did his, like, are you cleaning fountain pens too much video? He just did another one of it. Highly recommend watching it, because the answer is probably. We are probably cleaning fountain pens too much, and I now really only clean my pens if I'm switching brands of ink. So, unless I'm switching brands of ink, I'm really not cleaning pens because I don't see the point. Or if I'm doing like a dramatic color change. If I'm going from like a green to an orange, I'll clean the pen. Other than that, though, it doesn't matter. I like how I'm like progressively moving more and more out of frame. Whatever. Honestly, if you're still here 2.5 hours in, thank you. If you're just joining now, welcome to this craziness. I'm packing samples for Chicago. And we're like a tray of samples in. We're almost done. I'm so close to the finish line. And now I'm just packing things like that are harder to get. Like Colorverse inks, because they're really hard to get as samples. I can do this. Honestly, this is why no one has a membership to my channel. It would be the most random content. Though, if you want to join members, you get additional painting lives every month. And I might even let members choose the reference picture from images that I like select, but you'd get to vote. So if you want to join members, the option is available to join. Free of Colorverse. Honestly, that barely made a dent in the bottle. Do I do a fourth? Do I do a fourth of this? Ugh. It barely made a dent. Cool, we're doing a fourth. Honestly, I wanted it for my grays video, and then I never did. I did like inking up a whole bunch of grays for the month, but I never did a gray ink comparison video. So if you want a gray ink comparison video, let me know. I've got like 8 different gray inks, and I am quite happy to do a gray ink comparison video for all of you wonderful human beings. Because honestly, I think it would be fun. There we go. All right. Put away matter. I will say the Colorverse things come with a whole bunch of like extra things, and I do really like their box. They do a very nice box. I do wish though antimatter was a 30 ml bottle. It does bug me a bit that matter's 60, antimatter's 15, and you can't get antimatter in a bigger bottle. I wish Colorverse did bigger bottles. Because you also can't really fit anything in the 15s. Colorverse makes a lot of really pretty colors. Almost all of them are in 15 ml bottles. And so I own none of them. All right, adding to the pile of stuff that has to go away once this is done. All right. We stick on the label. We set the jar down. We stick on the label. We set the jar down. Yes, Giant Potato and White Sands, or I think it's called White Sands. And is it Aurora Borealis? I'm really upset that they don't come in bigger bottles, and because of that, I'm just not getting them. Because honestly, they're almost $1 a mil. They're almost Ferris wheel press price. Actually, they're more than Ferris wheel press price they're more than the Ferris wheel press everyday inks price wise. And I don't love them that much. So there we go. Let's do this lovely Ferris wheel press color. So I got a 100 pack of pipettes for I think $6 or $7. And for me that worked really well. Because a video like this where I'd have to be cleaning pipettes every single time would get really annoying really fast. So we're gonna do 4 samples of this, but we're gonna do 4 2 ml samples. Where's the pipette for writing desk? Writing desk. No, it is Ferris wheel press writing desk, which was their special release with a local supply store to me called Wonder Pens, and I love Wonder Pens. It's a great fountain pen shop. I actually have ordered Oyster Hour. It's waiting for me to pick up at Atlas, because one of the very lovely things Atlas does is let you pre-buy things for pickup in store. And when I got the notification that Oyster Hour is back in stock this week, I ordered it right away. So Oyster Hour is waiting for me at Atlas because I do really like it. Where's the swatch for writing desk versus Oyster Hour? So there's Oyster Hour and there's writing desk. So there's a very large difference between them. It's much more orange. It's got like a green sheen to it. It's very pretty. I would say it leans probably more wet. Out of all the Ferris wheel press inks I've got, it probably takes the longest to dry, in my experience. It is writing desk. All right. It is a very pretty brown. It just came up. I've seen it in 2 people's lists of browns recently, actually. I've seen it in Lori's list of browns and Karina Loves to Plan's list of browns, which is so funny to me because Wonder Pens is my local pen shop, or one of my local pen shops. So it's fun when people talk about loving the ink from them. because it's great. I love it as a color. I don't know that I've got paper to do like a dry time test on. I don't. Because most of my stuff is actually already packed. Most of my art stuff I packed last week. And so we're just sort of on like the final stuff, which in this case is all like stuff that probably didn't have a timeline to get done, or as like strict of a timeline. So in this case it's like ink swatches, whereas like stuff for my class all got done last week. Nope. I am very excited though. One, I love Chicago, but two, I love pen shows. Pen shows are a lot of fun, and I'm really excited to see my friends again. I'm really excited to talk to people that I work with, but in person. It's really interesting when your entire job is talking to people online, and that's what I do. What I do is I talk to people online and I make content for brands online, but it is very nice to be able to talk to those brands and those people in person. And I'm very excited for 20 Questions episodes. There's something about on location 20 Questions episodes at a pen show that just feel different than 20 Questions episodes filmed virtually. And they're just so much more fun. So I want to say you belong there. I don't think you actually do. I'm going to put you there. Like there's something about 20 Questions at a pen show that just feels different. And I've got some really fun episodes lined up already. I'm going to be doing just walk-up episodes. But there are some people I've talked to ahead of time who have said yes, that are really exciting. So it will be a fun week, or like 3 days, I guess. Really, Atlas is all of 3 days. All right, we are almost done. I'm gonna pack, I don't know how many samples I'm gonna do with black. We might do 3 samples of the black and 4 samples of the green. Nope, that would mean using another set of stickers, which I don't want to do. Though I've already got them cut. I love how I cut up all these stickers thinking I was going to use them, and now I'm going, I don't want to start a new sheet of them. That seems annoying. All right, where are we at sticker-wise? We have 6 stickers left. So, six stickers, 2 inks. I've already done 4 of the green. The question is, how many more of the green do I want? First up is a sip of water. Because I refuse to tick off my brain anymore. Okay. Oh, either way, I've got to open a new sheet of stickers because I've got to do a black for myself. I have to do a black for me. All right. So let's open a row of skinnies and do those. All right. What's funny is that I'm about to write labels for Sailor Kirigiro, and I've been writing all these labels in Sailor Kirigiro because it is my black ink. So what I've been writing labels in is what I have to write labels for next. That's Morningside Mint. All right. I believe the samples I did of it originally were 3 ml. So we're going to stick with that. And so if I do, that'll make a dent in this bottle. I'm happy with that. That'll be like, huh, okay, thank you. Yeah, basically everyone gets a sample of that ink. So I've already done, oh, my brain's slow today. I've already done 4, I'm doing 3 more. Is that 18 mils? Or 21 mils? 21 mils. Oh yeah, that makes a dent. That'll have made a dent in this bottle. Everyone does get a swatch of that black because it is on every single label, which also tells you just how much I use that black day to day. Like, it is, when we talk about like pens, when like people talk about their most used pen and like mention like I forgot what they're called, like the ballpoints that have a gel cartridge in them, like this Sailor ink is my most used thing by far. By far, it's my most used. Oh, like we're down to like half of that bottle. I can live with that. I can live with being down to half of that bottle because I am sure at some point other people are going to want samples of it. And so 50% is doable. Also, once it's empty, I think it'll look really cool. Can I get this? Oh, at this point, my fingers don't want to work. Oh, all right. Back in its little fancy bag it goes. I don't know why they come in little fancy bags, but I adore it. Doesn't seem like it has a point, but I love it. And then Sailor. Huh. Yeah, that's what happened. Just can't go. Let's cut these labels. I'm gonna put, I think I have to put Scotch tape or packing tape on them. They're not, some of them are sticking, some of them aren't sticking, and honestly I don't feel like dealing with it, so I'm just gonna tape them. But I don't know that I've got tape down here anymore, and so that's going to be an investigation upstairs in the kitchen in the junk drawer to go and find Scotch tape once this is all said and done. And then I'm also going to get Mom to tighten all of these lids and just make sure that they're on all the way, because that would really suck. As things go, that would not be fun. And would also be a very me situation to end up in. So, I'm gonna get Mom to just check on all those lids. All right. Also, Sailor's supposed to be at this event, and they've just come out with their ink of the year for pen shows. It's a green though. And I can't decide if I want it or not. Because I don't use green all that often. If you've seen my inked up videos, you'll know that. Like, green isn't in my frequent color palettes, but I do love Sailor inks. And so I can't decide if I want to get their show ink of the year. So that is a conundrum. I do love these Sailor bottles. These are the square-ish bottles. They're really rectangles. They're great. This is a pigment ink though, so it does need some shaking first. I'm actually going to take off these lids, and then I'm going to go back to shaking. Once I've taken off these lids. I will say this bottle does not look like I have taken anything out of it, because really I have taken almost nothing out of it. I have only just finished my sample vials from Wonder Pens, actually, that I used when I was waiting to get my bottle from Atlas. I got, I think, 5 sample vials from Wonder Pens, which were each 2 ml, and I've just finished the 10 ml the last time I inked my pen. And so I think I took half a ml out of this bottle. So it's only really just been used. So we're gonna do two ml samples. And we saved this one for last for an important reason. Actually, no, I've used quite a lot of this. Never mind. I'm totally lying. I'm looking at the ink level in it going, no, like, you've used it. I will say it smells sort of like a sharpened pencil. Like it's got like that pencil lead scent to it, which is sort of a crazy scent for an ink to have. I've confirmed with other people, like their bottles smell the same way. It just seems to be how this ink smells. And I adore it. It's a great waterproof ink. And really, if I'm going to use a waterproof ink, it's going to be this one, because I trust that it's going to stay put. It's what I use in all the tiny trees videos when I've got the little labels on the page. It's just like my go-to black ink. Really, if I had a flex pen that I wasn't worried about destroying, this ink would be in it. But I'm too scared to leave it in a nice pen. So instead, I have it in a Hongdian Forest. If Hongdian ever comes out with a flex nib, I will be one of the first people in line to purchase it, because I would love this ink in a flex pen. I think it just seems great. So we have one left, and then this is going to be not a small sample, because this is going to be mine. So I'm going to put probably 3 mils in here. I'm also going to open my pen and see if it needs to be topped up, because I think it probably does. I'd be surprised if it didn't need to be topped up. All right, let's push this away from the edge. Let's open this. Oh no, I just filled this last week, didn't I? Yeah, it's still very full. Yeah, Sailor ink smelling like a pencil is absolutely hilarious, to the extent that I didn't think, like, it's got such a charcoal smell to it. Yeah. It's crazy. Ooh, I could get a flex nib from FPR. I have an architect from FPR that I love, that was in my inked video this month. My issue is I've never actually personally ordered from FPR. And so I don't know what size to order for my pen. For the ink swap, people are getting 2 ml of the black. For my own personal, what I'm taking with me on this trip, I am taking about 3.5 ml. Because I think, even though this pen has enough ink in it right now, it's probably going to need to be re-inked in a couple days. And then I'm also not back until like the beginning of September. And so it's probably going to need to be re-inked a few times. So we are going to pack more ink than I think we need, just in case. But Okay, so what's am I currently inked this month that I might want? I've got a sample of that. Got a sample of that. I want a sample of that for myself. And then a sample of that. Okay. All right, all right, all right. And you might be going, why aren't you packing a sample vial of every pen for every ink you've got inked this month? My answer to that is, I know I'm buying inks. I've already bought ink. And so I'm only taking mandatory stuff. There are also some things that I know aren't going to need to be re-inked. That I just like don't run through quickly enough to need to re-ink them while I'm gone. No, so I'm trying to run that pen dry right now. The Puccino, I can't figure out how to clean it with ink still in it. And so I'm gonna just run it dry and then I'll clean it and switch out the color. Purely because I can't figure out how to take it apart because it's eyedroppered without getting ink everywhere. So I'm just gonna run it dry and then deal with the consequences. And like clean it, which there are no consequences. Like it's just, it has to be cleaned before I can re-ink it with something else. Though I do really like it with gray. Sell it on Cat? Nope. I've already got an ink for that pen waiting for me in Chicago. Monteverde has been very lovely, and there are several things waiting for me from the brand to pick up. And so I'm not taking an ink for it. Because I know I've got something waiting for me for it there, or for that pen there. Normally I'd be taking samples for the Kavekos. All of them have been re-inked this week, and so the only thing I'm taking is a cartridge for the highlighter. Because really, as much as I use those pens, I don't find that I actually run through a lot of ink. I find that of all my pens, they run through the least amount of ink. So I think they should be good as long as I ink them up on Tuesday before we leave. They should be good the entire time we're gone. So what I'm taking is a sample for the, well, I can actually pull them out. A sample for this, which is the Naveler, because right now I like Midnight Navy in it. That might change, but for now, Midnight Navy is the color for that pen. I am taking a sample for the Leonardo Bella di Notte, which is Monteverde Rose Pink, also because I'm getting that pen tuned, and I can't remember if Matthew Chen likes pens inked or uninked. And so if he likes them uninked, I will unink it quickly while we're there, and that means that I have ink to put into it again. And then I'm taking black, which leaves many pens in here that I'm not taking ink for. Some of them, like the Kavekos, aren't going to need to be re-inked. I don't think the Twisby will need to be re-inked. Honestly, I have yet to run this pen dry. I tend to get bored of it before I run it dry. Same with these. These, normally both of them aren't inked up at the same time, but they've both got different fun, cool nibs on them. One has an architect and one has a bent nib, and I've inked them both up because it's a pen show, and you know, fun things are fun for other people to play with. Other than that though, like, everything's sort of ready to go. Also, most of these pens, not living in this case for the show. Most of these are going in pen rolls. The only things that are staying in hard cases are the Leonardos and the Twisby and the Naveler. everything else are going into pen rolls because I don't have enough pen case space. So that sort of gives you an indication of stuff. So it'll be good. So mostly I'm taking ink samples of things that I use a whole bunch of. So the black and this pen right now I'm using every day, multiple times a day. And then everything else is just like, yeah. And really, if I wasn't unsure if I was going to have to unink this or not, I probably wouldn't be taking an ink sample for it. But I can't remember if Matthew prefers pens to not have ink in them when he tunes them. I think he does. So I think I'm probably going to have to empty the ink out of it before he tunes it. So if that is the case, I will do that quickly at the show. And then we will, you know, get that tuned up. But I have now packed so many ink samples. Are you going to stand up? So there we go. There are all of the ink samples I've got packed. And there are many of them. I don't want to count. It seems like a lot of work to count them all. So it is now end of day or mid-afternoon on Saturday, and progress has been made. Things are moving forward. Things are moving forward, and I've got a hand covered in ink. So, you know, it's been a good day. That being said, I feel like I'm missing a pen because this pen case should theoretically be full. Oh, I am. I know what I'm missing. It's upstairs. I'm missing my pilot. My pilot's upstairs in my traveler's notebook on the kitchen island. That's what I'm missing. I don't love lammies. I'm a weird person. Mom's currently got my only lammy. She quite enjoys my Vista. I'm not a huge lammy person. They're not the pen for me. So Mom is currently very much enjoying my lammy, and I am very happy that she likes it because it deserves to be loved. It just wasn't the pen for me. I quite enjoy pistons. I don't know how much I'd enjoy flying with them. I've heard some mixed reviews about flying with them, but for like day-to-day use, oh, I love them. I've got, do I have 4 right now inked up? Yes, I have 4 inked up right now. I've got a Twisby, a Navaler, and 2 Leonardos inked up. And they're all pistons. Got ink in this cap, which tells you how little I cleaned this pen before I re-inked it. Good enough. It went from a gray to a Sailor Sakura, actually. And there we go. Inks are packed. My desk is a mess. My hands are a mess. Overall, though, highly productive. And still only mid-afternoon. There's still time to get some other stuff done. Like printing out 20 booklets for this workshop. So I think that's probably my next order of business, is printing out all my workshop manuals. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you're coming to Chicago, say hi. I will be wandering around the show both days and would love to meet you guys. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed.